Hello and welcome to Babbles Travelling Yarns. I haven't done a proper podcast in a long time. Various reasons, mostly child related. And I just wanted to, well actually to be honest, she's asleep. So I'm taking this chance. And I've also finished a couple of things. So I wanted to show you what I've been up to. But first I just want to kind of do a little check-in. Just about what's been going on with me and my family and my new kind of stage of life. Recently had a little baby girl. She is 3 months old now and we are getting on fabulous. Absolutely amazing. I'm loving maternity leave. In Ireland we get 6 months paid and 3 months unpaid, and then you can add on a few extra things if you want to try. I'm going to try and get about 11 months, we'll see. But yeah, so we're 3 months into maternity leave, and it was 1st of October yesterday, I believe. So it's the 2nd of October. We're coming into autumn, and it's just fabulous. We had an incredibly busy year. We got married last September. I had a big party, and then found out we were pregnant fairly soon after. Then we decided, oh my goodness, we have to buy a house. We've been looking to buy a house for a long time, about 4 years. Very difficult everywhere, all across the world now at the moment, to buy any sort of property, but especially during COVID, it was almost impossible to even see houses. But we were trying to, because we were renting and we were living in the city. And it was just grating on me. I don't really like people being able to see directly into my bedroom. Do you know what I mean? Having to keep the curtains closed all the time. And I was brought up in the countryside. So yeah, we found this property, and it is fabulous. It's about half an hour away from the city, half an hour away from my job, and about 10 minutes, no, not even 5 minutes drive down to the local shop, about a half an hour walk. So yeah, it's close by a village. We're up in the mountains, and I can actually see mountains from the top from my garden and from my kitchen. Amazing. And then yeah, so we're super close to all forest walks and everything, and there's streams, and I've no neighbours. I have neighbours up the road, but no direct neighbours. The most direct neighbours are the cows in the field next door. It's actual heaven. It's actual heaven. The person who I keep saying sorry about that. I've not really done a proper chatty podcast in a long time. All I can hear is But the woman who owned the house before was a very keen gardener. So the whole house, the whole property is planted with what are they called? Pollinator plants. It's basically designed for bees and butterflies and birds. And the cats are loving that. Peanut, we have 4 cats in total, if you don't know already. Peanut is our smallest and youngest cat, and she is a hunter, and she is the insect killer in our house. There's so many insects now and spiders that we live in the countryside. So yeah, she has a personal vendetta against every fly and spider. So I'm trying to, now to be honest, there's plenty of spiders. I'm not worried about the old depopulation of the species. Beans has his favourite voles, which are his absolute favourite. And then Toast and Jam are the big game hunters. So they go for the rats and the mice and the birds and the rabbits. But there was 2 cats living here previously, so the birds are well able to avoid it if needed. So yeah, they are really enjoying themselves. Now, I've never owned a garden so big. I've never been responsible for such a big garden. It's on about a half acre, and there's very little lawn. You can cut the lawn in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes if you're doing a good job. And the lawn is mostly paths through the garden. So we decided to leave it for a year because I have a new baby and I can't be dealing with gardening as well at the same time. But also we don't know what's in the garden. So we left it for a whole year, and it's coming up to autumn now, and I'm going to do a big cutback. I might actually get someone up who knows what they're doing, like a proper gardener who like knows what they're doing and knows what to cut and what not to cut. And I'll get them to talk me through it. I would like that, just to get a bit of education around the subject, because it's really such a wild education. And she's looked after it so well for so many years that I don't want it all to go to waste. Now there's no real space for an edible garden, which is what I would be really interested in. So I have plans over the winter to do a bit of digging and composting and building up some raised beds. So that is on the horizon. Yeah, my husband James is getting on really well. He's actually been home with me for the first 3 months of our little daughter's life, which is absolutely the saving of us. It has really given him a deep connection to her, deep understanding and faith and confidence in himself. And it's given me faith and confidence in him as well, trust, you know. I was thinking about, I'm going to be doing a birth story. So I'm going to film that separately, just because I had a really positive experience and really positive postpartum. And I really want to put those messages out there, because all you hear is the terrible stories. So I'd like to push out a bit more positivity about the whole process, because that was one of the reasons why I was so terrified to even get pregnant for a long, long time. And yeah, so creatively, I have been doing quite a lot, but slowly, super slowly. And, you know, a baby's a full-time job. But I have been doing kind of necessary stuff for her, but also I have been doing really fun quilting mostly, and I've really just been finishing off a quilt, which is a really satisfying part. So I'm going to be talking about that first, and then I'll talk about some of the things that I've knit for her as well. And I might go through a few bits that I plan on casting on. Yeah, might. We'll see. So the first thing I want to show you is this. This is my Scrappy log cabin quilt that I have been making since March 2020. So Ireland shut down on the 17th or 16th of March 2020, and I was sent home because I had a cough, and I was also working with students and they were all sent home. So I was sent home, and there was no testing back then, so I was off for 10 whole days straight. So aside from panicking, I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to learn how to quilt. And I started by making a whole quilt, and then I realised I had loads of scraps. I've spoken about the quilt previously, but I had absolutely loads of scraps. And the idea of buying fabric to cut up to make into quilts was just something not quite right with that in my soul. Now I have done that, and they came out beautifully for like plans, but I really wanted to use the scraps that I was left with. And I put out a call for scraps, and people posted them to me, and I still had loads and loads and loads of them. So I decided to start making these squares. I'll show you what they look like. So These are one of the originals. The start, I had mostly fabric from the center aisle of Lidl, and there was a lot of fabrics. A lot of people will recognize this fabric now if they've had it before, but really lovely little charms, little fat quarter packs from Lidl. And I was using them to make masks originally, actually, at the time. And then I had loads of this leftovers because the masks were like different shapes, and you know, you'd be left over with like a strip or like a triangle. So I cut everything, all the scraps down into 2 inch or 1 inch rectangles, as long as I could get them. And then I just started piecing. So you start off with these tiny little pieces, the smallest pieces you can get, and you sew 2 together. And then you come to an edge and you sew on this bit. And then you come to it, you find the edge and you sew on this bit. And then you find this. So you're kind of going out in a kind of a Fibonacci spiral of adding on. Ooh, 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 ooh. So you're always sewing onto an area which has 2 strips, basically. I think, is that right? Or at least 1 anyway. So it's the log cabin pattern. So I had a bunch of these, and I kind of I grew them as I went. So I would start off with 1 or 2, and I'd sew like 6 together, and then I'd sew the next few, and then I'd run out of the little center bits, small bits. So I would end up getting a longer strip, sewing it on, and then cutting off that little extra bit, and then I would use that little extra bit to start the next square, if you know what I mean. So it was like a real constant roundabout of making. And then I kind of, when I went back to work, then I put it all aside. I finished that 1 quilt and had loads of these, and I was just like, oh, I'll get back to that later. But it was always in the back of my mind. I was like, oh, that was so addictive to do. It was just really fast, and they grew so fast. So yeah, in my maternity leave then, I decided I was making I was making quilts for babies in my family, and I was ending up with loads of extra bits again. So I was like, oh, I could start this again. And I also decided when I was moving, I was moving like my craft supplies everywhere, and I was like, I just have this massive bag of scraps that I haven't done anything with. So I went through all my bag of scraps and I cut everything down into either 2 inch squares or, you know, however big I could get them. And then the rest were all strips. So I decided to put all the strips and finish off. So these are actually much brighter because the scraps that people sent me were all different types of colors. So what I decided to do was add them all together and do kind of like a checkerboard with the darker and the, you know, kind of more saturated colors and the pastel colors in between. So if you can see that, there's pastel, dark, pastel, dark, pastel, dark. And I think it just gives a nice, this was one that I actually tried to think about, and I did pink on one side and blue on the other, and I love this idea. And I think I'll definitely do something like that again, a little bit more planned. I might, when I gather up my scraps again, I might actually do a deliberate, you know, dark scraps, light scraps, and do this style, because you can really do a lot of patterns putting the squares together with that sort of style. But for this one, I really just wanted to go scrappy, just to learn the procedure and everything. Jeremy, I'm obsessed. I'm absolutely, like, when you put it all together, I was like, oh, it's gonna look crap. And now I'm just like, this is fascinating. It is so interesting. And so the idea is to actually put it on our bed, our own bed, and have it as a quilt, just as like a cover. And it'll be lovely to like remember the period and, you know, my postpartum and everything. So it's like started with COVID, which was terrible, and then it ended with a lovely, fantastic period of my life. So so this is the back of it, and I I'm obsessed with the back. I'm kind of sad that it's going to be hidden. But you can see how the folds. So I did, at the first ones, I was folding everything out from the outside, from the center out. And then in other sections, where is it now? Yes. So with these new ones, I decided to open them out and fold them flat, just to kind of give a more kind of a flat surface when I'm quilting it. And then I realized that I was messing it up, and it didn't really matter. So there's a lot of different techniques in this, so quilting is going to be interesting. I don't plan on quilting it at home, because the last time I did that, I broke my machine and it cost €80 to fix. So my plan is to take this to a quilting shop in Shannon. It's called the Irish Quilter, and she teaches you how to do it on her long arm machine, and then you can rent time on her machine. I love that idea, because again, I don't want to be buying a whole long arm machine, but I do want to learn how to do it. It's genius. Apparently it's very common in the States to do it that way, but it's not very common here. You just send it away and someone else does it for you, which is grand. But you know me, I love learning how to do things. So, but the only thing is that this is actually a little bit too short for our bed. We got it's huge. So each square is, I promise to go back to that. So each square I cut down to 9.5 inches. And then I was thinking of doing a side 81 squares, and I was planning on doing like 9x9 square. And then I realized that as I was sewing them together, I was sewing 2 at a time, and then I ended up with 10 instead of 9. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But so I ended up with 8 strips of 10 squares in each strip. And it's long enough on the sides to kind of go down. It doesn't go all the way down to the floor, because our bed, we got a special bed made because James is really, 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 really tall. So we got a 6-foot by 7-foot bed. So 7 foot is kind of the long way, so his feet don't hang off the end, because he's 6'7". So, and yeah, so it's just the length of it is just not long enough. So I need to add, well, I'd say 1 more strip. So I'm going to make 10 more of these squares, which will literally take no time at all, and it should actually use up the rest of my scraps. So exciting. So yeah, before I finish off the binding and before I'm finished off completely. So that's my plan for that. I am going to do a edge. I don't know what type of edge to do, whether to do it in a dark edging and then do a binding. I want to do at least probably. Now I do actually have, I do have navy. Quite a lot of navy, because I use navy as a contrast color in, actually I have it here, in the baby quilts that I made, and it's just a lovely color, to be honest. Oops, sorry. So this is the baby quilt that I made. So I still have quite a lot of the navy. I actually bought a bed sheet. No, I didn't. I bought fabric, but I also used pillowcases. Yes, I used pillowcases, 2 pillowcases for the contrast color on the inside, because I think I bought 2 cotton pillowcases for €5 or something like that, and you'd never get that anywhere else. So this is my baby's quilt, and we use it for tummy time, and she loves looking at it because it's got really high contrast. And if you look really close, it's got like cute little patterns. It's got little frogs and cats with ties, formal wear cats, leaves, flowers, cars. It's got little bunny rabbits and birds. So, and it's got little bicycles. So it's got really fun prints for when she's a little older and we're teaching her those bits. So I've got quite a lot of this. And I think that would really tie that quilt together, because it kind of gives a heart, like an outline basically, because it is quite pinky and pastel-y for the most part.
but it also has the navy, the blues and the deeper kind of navies as well. So I think that would be a really nice kind of border. And then what I would like to do then, if I still have some scraps left, I would love to do a scrappy binding. I need to figure out how to do that. If anyone has done it before, or if anyone has any hints or tips, because when you're making a binding, you can either do your slanty seam. Yeah, you can sew it together with a 45-degree angle, or you can sew it together with a 90-degree angle. And I think 90-degree angle would get me more out of my scraps, and I would basically use more of it. But I don't know if it's a good idea. Let me know what you think, because the scraps are probably still only going to be like 6 to 8 inches long, maybe less. So there's an idea in there. Another idea is to do a small, if I don't have enough navy, I could do like, instead of like 2.5-inch strips, I could do like a 1-inch strip, and then on the outside I could sew all the scraps together in kind of like a along together, and then cut that strip into 2.5 inches, and then bind with the navy. That'd be a good idea as well, actually. Anyway, lots of ideas. I don't know if I have enough scraps to do that. Mind you, I haven't looked into the bag in a while, so I probably do, let's be honest. Okay, so that's all my sewing and my sewing ideas in progress. And I'm going to tell you what I've been knitting now. So, I've spoken about these before, but I have just finished another one. Oh, I also have to show you something very depressing. I don't know if I can show it to you. Okay. This was the first little baby wool nappy cover that I made. This might have fit her as a newborn, I will say that, but this wasn't the original size I made. Nope. This might have fit a premature baby, maybe. Now, so let me show you the size that it should have been. Maybe a tiny bit smaller than this one. This is the actual size. This is what happens when you accidentally push this into the washing machine and wash them with the rest of your cloth nappies on a really high wash with a lot of detergent. So I feel like, yeah, that's a very sensitive topic for me. So I basically had been knitting these wool nappy covers for my little baby girl. We're doing cloth nappies as a kind of a money saving, kind of environment saving, kind of, they're really cute. So way of doing the parenting. And I was having trouble with leaks during the night. I was not waking up, like, I didn't want to be changing her all the time because she'd wake up and then it was very hard to put her back to sleep again. So instead I was getting leaks onto the cot, onto the bed beside me if she was beside me, and it was all a mess. So I was looking into it, and a lot of people said try the wool nappies. So I bought this lanolized lanolized infused wool from Apple Oak Fiberworks here in County Clare. Sorry, I'm in Limerick, but County Clare is not far away, probably 40 minutes. I think that's where she is. Jennifer from Apple Oak Fiberworks, she has this lanolin infused 100% wool, and the lanolin is actually infused back into the wool after it's spun, because obviously you need to clean the wool to make it go through the machines to spin it. and it's absolutely beautiful stuff to work with. My skin has never been so soft. So yeah, I knit this. So these are, I have 2 functioning pants and 1 non-functionaro pant. So this was actually the newborn size. It was a lovely size. She was actually starting to grow out of it anyway, but there's no need for me to have thrown it into the wash like recklessly. Okay, James threw it in, but sure, look, I put it into the bag for the washing, so we're both equally responsible for that tragedy. I was thinking, actually, someone said, oh, could you cut it out and use them and make booties out of them? And I was like, that's actually a great idea. There's plenty of space for that, like 1 in the front and 1 in the back. So that's what I'm going to do. Oh, look, you could actually use this as a little, and cut a little booty pattern and maybe have like a leather sole. Genius. Anyway, yes, so that's what I'm going to do with that. Waste not, want not. But also I could just throw it on the compost heap because it's just wool. That's the idea, basically. The lanolin in the wool prevents leaks. It's amazing. It's incredible. So I put on a cloth nappy, a normal cloth nappy. So one of these, or, you know, a cover or whatever. This is an all-in-one tot spots. I got it from Lidl or something. So I put on that onto her, and then I put this over her, over that. I was just putting on like a terry towel underneath, but I found that the nappy, the wool nappy, was getting dirty more, whereas this keeps all the poops and everything in, so I don't have to wash this then as much. You know, I just kind of air it, because I know that sounds a bit gross, but wool is antibacterial, antifungal, and all it needs is a good air and a bit of sunshine, and it's clean again. So I wash them maybe once every 2-3 weeks, and I re-lanolize them then with a little bit of lanolin nipple cream, actually. So it's all part of the cycle. Whoops. I knew that's gonna happen. So that is the plan. So once this was felted, I had literally just finished this one, and you really do need 2 just in case one gets dirt, when one gets wet, you need another one to put on for the night. So then it took me ages to knit this one, and like, I'm just a slow knitter at the moment because she's either on me or in my arms the whole time. So anyway, I just finished this one, and of course I made an on purpose mistake to show the back. No, but I was thinking I might actually do a little embroidery or something on the front to like distinguish, because these little bits do come out in the front, but sometimes it can be a bit difficult if it's stretched out. This one has been used more, and it is actually slightly felted, but like in a way that it's fine. So they become more leak proof the more you use them. It's incredible. But I was thinking, I really want to do something different. I hate knitting the same thing a couple of times, with the exception to one pattern, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So I decided, you know what? I can lanolize any wool. What if I go into my stash of sweaters that I don't wear and use them? Because I honestly, I don't know about you, but I make sweaters that I love the idea of, but they actually don't suit or work after a while. So I went into my stash of sweaters and I picked up this one. Now this is a lovely sweater, really nice, but it always falls off my shoulders, so I don't wear it. It was I picked up the wool from a sale outside the hospital that I worked in Sydney, and I was thinking, listen, I could probably make 2, if not 3 wool nappies out of this. So I'm gonna cut them. I'm gonna cut them to size or something, and sew it, and maybe use the sleeve as a leg, or maybe I'll just pick up the stitches and knit the leg. Yeah, so I'm gonna try do that. And I've also, now don't cry, but I haven't worn this at all. Maybe I should just start wearing it. Maybe I should wait until after winter. But anyway, this is a hand-spun, hand-knit gradient sweater. It was my project for Fluff to Stuff, or the Spin and Make Along in 2018. I don't wear it. I don't like the colours anymore. So I was thinking, if I'm not going to wear it, at least, you know, make it useful for someone else. So, and I think they're so cute. And do you know what? I was even thinking I could use the sleeve as leggings for her, reuse the sleeves for when she's older, because these would do a 7-year-old. So really long sleeves. And the body, I could do little pull-up pants. So I've got to learn how to do that. And then I have this beautiful, beautiful jumper, but it has felted over time. It was 100% merino wool, super fine 14 micron merino wool, and I wore it to death. And it's felted in the armpits. This is Dingo Dye Works, PETA in Dingo Dye Works, and I absolutely love it. But I don't wear it anymore. It's kind of shrunk up a tiny bit. I only bought 3 skeins, and I'm a slightly bigger size now, so it sort of doesn't fit. But it's already felted to the point where it would be actually perfect for a cloth nappy, for a wool nappy. So I'm going to try this, and then I might knit this design again, because I absolutely am obsessed with it. So I think this is called the Drift sweater. I can't remember the designer. This is the Drift sweater, but it's very, very simple, beautiful design, very easy to knit. So I'd love to knit another one of these. I have knit another one actually, along a short sleeve kind of tunic version, which I also don't wear. So that'd be a great idea. I'd love to kind of reuse some of my pieces instead of, because I could sell them on, I guess, but I also love them, and I love the stories that go with them. So it would be lovely to keep, you know, but actually use them, keep them in the family. And I don't know if anyone has ever looked to buy cloth nappies or wool nappy covers, but they are so expensive. And these were also very expensive to make. So I would love to keep the money in the family as well. So that is my plan. Don't know if it's going to happen or not, but so anyway. So, and I forgot to mention, this pattern is the Curly Whirly wool soaker pattern. If you look that up, it's actually one of the first on Ravelry, and it's a free pattern, and it's very simple to do. I love the little design of the ribbing. I think that's super cute. This ribbing is kind of stretched out a bit, so when I wash it, hopefully that'll come in again. But this is what it looks like when it's first off the needles, and then it stretches. It's really nice, big stretch. But the design down the front, it's kind of like, if you turn it upside down, it's like the Chrysler Tower, Chrysler building in New York. And it has short rows on the back here to make the ribbing longer on the back to kind of pull up around the arse. But it also, you have an extra bit under here, so it's all in the round, and then when you come to the legs here, you stop and you just go back and forth, and you cast off a certain number of stitches until you come to about this point, and then you turn around and you knit back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you come to the same number of stitches, and then you graft them together using a Kitchener stitch, and then you pick up the stitches. Now you can do like a rolled hem. I just did a rib hem because I find that the most of the leaks come out the legs. So I wanted just a little bit of, because she's not like the chubbiest of babies, she's very long, so she's got skinny little legs. If she had chubbier legs, then the curly pearly, the rolled hem would work, but she's got skinny little legs. But she's actually in the 99th centile for height, and she's in the 75th centile for weight, which is where she was all the time. So she's absolutely fine. She's growing fast. So I've now knit this pattern 3 times and I am bored. So I was going to talk to you about a pattern I really don't mind knitting 300, 400, 500 times. This is the Beloved pattern, and it is the most adorable little baby knit I have ever knit, ever seen. So cute. It's by Tin Can Knits. It's not one of their free patterns, but it is well worth the €4 or whatever it is. I can't remember the price of it, but this was a gift sent to me by Jolene, I think. Oh God, I hope it's Julian. Anyway, and she has been wearing it the whole time. This is actually, I think this is my yarn that she got at one of my retreats. And it is just beautiful. It's got this little pixie little top, and it does short rows down here at the back of the neck, which really tucks it in really cute. And these little bits just go into the neck and you just tie them. So she's actually starting to grow out of this one. So I decided to cast on one. I haven't even blocked it because what's the point? It's a hat. So I just finished one and I need to sew in the ends there. And it's a beautiful pattern. You start with the little I cord and then you go up and then you start increasing and doing short rows. And then at the top, you basically turn around and you start doing decreasing and you keep doing your short rows all the way down. And it's just the most delicious pattern. This is wool that I got from New Zealand. It is Briar Patch Yarns, 100% DK Merino, and it is the most delicious thing. This, I don't know what size it is. It's probably not a newborn size. It's slightly bigger. I'd say it's big enough for a 1-year-old, and it used 50 grams, a whole 50-gram ball. Very efficient, used everything. Love that. Again, me and my anti-scrap use everything mentality. So I love these, and I honestly wish I had more time to knit so I could make 500 of these and give them to every baby I know. But obviously that's not gonna happen because I can hear my baby screaming right now. I just wanted to show you one more thing. This is a sewing project that I'm doing that I forgot about, and when I was going looking for these, I was like, oh, I'll show them that as well. This is another Scrappy project. It is a English paper piecing piece of material, and it is going to go on a puff that is going to be just here in front of the fire. So basically, if the puff is getting dirty because there's cats on it, we put our tea on it, we put our feet on it. So I'd love to have a piece that I can slip on and off and throw in the wash, gentle wash, hopefully. And yeah, so I'm using all the scraps, so people who sent me their scraps will recognize a lot of them. I love this. And then there's another one with sheep on it. Oh, there's one with little tiny sheeps. And then there's another one with a big sheep face. Is there? Oh yeah, this one here. Sheep face. Sheep face. Is it a baby?
Can I have a smidgen?
A smidgen! Isn't my sheep? Do you want to see a baby foot? You can show a baby foot. So anyway, that's the podcast. I've got to go do a job now. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, you can give me a thumbs up, you can subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.